This is where.
Thank you, Michelle. Okay, thank you for coming. Today is the October 12th meeting for the Middle Smithfield Township Supervisors. If you could join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, actually, we'd like to have it led by James Ebbee.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thanks, James.
Good to see you, Scout Mr. Santiago. Okay, is there a motion for the approval of the agenda? And actually, I have two amendments. I am proposing to amend announcements to include the upcoming budget work sessions, which would be on October 19th at 10 a.m. and October 25th at 9 a.m. And I would also like to add a letter D to new business, which would include fire tax and EMS tax for 2024. So is there a motion to approve the agenda with those two proposed amendments?
Motion.
Second.
And a second, any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone on Zoom tonight? No. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of September 28th?
Motion.
Second.
Comments or questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And there is no solicitor tonight, so we do not have a report of executive sessions, but I will report that there was no executive session prior to tonight's meeting. That brings us to public comment and non-agenda items. Does anyone in the public have any comment on any item that is not currently on the agenda? Okay, moving along. Announcements and committee and department reports. So we just announced the two budget work sessions that will be coming up. Just a quick shout out. You probably saw the banner that Public Works put across 209, that Person of the Year nominations are now open. So if you know of anybody that you would like to nominate for Person of the Year, please go to our website or call Holly for any details. The Community and Cultural Center will host a blood drive for the Red Cross on October 20th. And speaking of the Community Center, the Mastodon exhibit is up. So please visit and learn all about the Mastodon that was discovered in Marshall's Creek. And also, speaking of the Community Center, this week we have received an award notice from the Department of Community and Economic Development of a grant that was close to $10,000 to improve the acoustics in there for acoustical panels. We do have the committee and department reports over on the side table for anybody who would like to grab some. I just gave you a few highlights from the committee and department reports. Mark and Mike, is there anything that you would like to highlight? I believe you have an event coming up.
Yeah, I would just like to highlight that, just to remind everyone, that cleanup is tomorrow and Saturday. So that'll be both here and up in Wooddale. Then we got trunk or treat coming up a couple weeks.
So if anyone would like to decorate your car and as a character and help us hand out candy to the kids, we'd love to have you there. Thank you for doing that every year. Mark, have you got anything?
$25 golf. $25 golf the rest of the year. And from the golf committee meeting we had on Monday, the members of the committee have said the conditions haven't been better in a long, long time. So, of course, it's in great shape to come out and lose some golf balls. I'll go out a little later and find them.
Thank you, Mark. Does anyone on the board have any other announcements? Okay, moving along. Michelle, is there any correspondence? No. Okay, so and that brings us to the treasurer's report.
Okay, motion from our general account, $187,003.38.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion from our sewer account, $94,146.68.
I'll second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion from our golf account, $6,956.61.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye. And a motion from our liquid fuels account, $118,143.14.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor? Aye.
That's
Thank you, Michael. And that brings us to the solicitor report, and even though we do not have the solicitor here this evening, he did leave us a dummy proof list. So we can color code it that we can go through
Michelle.
to move things forward.
yes.
Color coded, thanks to Michelle.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. All right. So the first item on the solicitor's report is the proposed cable franchise ordinance. So there is a cable franchise ordinance, and there's also the cable franchise fee that Blue Ridge tax on. So the motion here would be to authorize the solicitor to take the next steps that are needed to revise the cable franchise agreement without the 5% franchise fee and notify Blue Ridge Cable that we want to modify the agreement. So the motion would be that to direct him to work on it. And then if we want to talk about the timing of that, we can do that. But at least this gives him the authority to start working on the things that he needs to do, the steps he needs to get in motion.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, great. Any comments or questions?
Yes, I think we should talk about why we're doing it in public.
Okay,
My feeling, and I'm speaking for one of three, is that the cable franchise tax is unfair to the people who pay it because it's just maybe 40 or 50% of the township residents. So it ends up being a couple $100,000 a year that half of our residents are contributing to. The other half aren't giving anything at that point, at least in that regard. So that's my thought on it.
okay. I think the three of us are in agreement on that, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, more important to me is that it's not dependable, it's not a guaranteed number. So we really don't know year over year, quarter after quarter, quite honestly, what kind of revenue that's gonna generate. But I agree that, you know, it doesn't, it's not spread out throughout the whole township, it's just certain users of certain things. And in my opinion, it should basically just die its own death, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that it terminates in June of 2024.
Yes.
So, I mean, that would be what I would prefer to direct the solicitor that when it comes up for renewal, we just wouldn't renew with a fee associated with it.
He would still need to do all these very
Agreed.
same steps.
Right, but there's no, in my opinion, there's no rush to end it in February. I mean, you know, just let it die its own death.
The fee part.
Right.
So we are, there's two parts to it. There's the cable franchise agreement, which allows Blue Ridge Cable to be in our roadways. And when that was originally thought of, it was a great idea because they were in our right of way and township right of way and running cable and all of that. If anyone is a new Blue Ridge Cable subscriber, you now realize they don't run the cable into your house anymore. Yeah, it's all digital, so that it's kind of outdated. The theory behind it was kind of outdated, and as this was a fee that was started in 2008 by a prior board. It wasn't fair then, it wasn't I don't believe it's fair now. The revenue created from it, can be used for anything. And the folks, that are cable, it shouldn't have to cost you money in our township to watch the news. So in my opinion, if it was unfair then, and it's going to be unfair now, and it's unfair in June of 2024, my opinion is that we should just get rid of it now, but we can haggle over that later, I suppose. So, but the important part is that, folks who watch cable can look forward to not having to pay that additional money. So thank you, Mark, for bringing that up so that it's explained. So there's been a motion and a second and an explanation. Is there any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and the next item on the solicitor's report is the proposed local services tax. So this is, something we've already have an occupational tax, and that is rather outdated. Most municipalities have switched to the local services tax. That state statute was written 10 years ago. It hasn't changed. Most municipalities are doing that, and they are doing that at the ceiling, which is $52 a year. And the funds from that, as anybody that got your newsletter could see, and if you're a sewer user, you've also received that in your sewer notice bill. It could be used for roads, it could be used for emergency services, a finite amount of things. And only working people are charged that. So the motion for tonight is to authorize the solicitor to advertise the local services tax ordinance for adoption. We just needed to specify to him which version of it he produced. Now, Michelle, do you have the ordinance number for this? Yeah.
No, we won't do that.
Okay, until it's passed. Okay, so I believe that I'm hearing from the board that the version the solicitor originally wrote is the one that will advise him to do. So is there a motion to authorize the solicitor to advertise this ordinance for adoption?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then the next thing on the solicitor's list was the proposed solar energy ordinance. So the township had asked the solicitor to create a separate solar use zoning ordinance amendment to, well, actually, why don't you take the ball on this, because you're, yeah.
You're doing fine right now.
Okay, so, the Board of Supervisors agreed on, the proposed ordinance. It was sent to outside agencies. We received some comments from the Monroe County Planning Commission. We adjusted the ordinance based on those comments and sent it to them, and we got a response today. So we can expect to have that on the agenda in the future. So letter D on these, so there's no action on that.
Sending that back to the planning commission with the changes.
We got it back already.
It already went.
Oh, yeah.
It'll go to their meeting this month.
To
Yeah,
the town.
Correct, even
To the
though the
township
county
planning.
comments came.
Yeah.
Because they
Thank you.
didn't have a meeting last month.
And you have the county's comments,
Yes.
already. So then we have letter D under the solicitor's report, which is the PPL Fox Hill to Shawnee transmission line rebuild. Where is that? Here it is. PPL asked for a temporary construction easement on township property. So the motion here is for the action here is for the board to consider the request for PPL to have a temporary construction easement over the Middle Smithfield Township property, which is within Smithfield Township, and if agreeable, will need to authorize the easement to be executed.
Is this Mount Nebo?
It is, it's Mount Nebo Park. Yeah, Pat and I were going back and forth with this for a couple of months, because trying to figure out where the property is.
Yeah, because it's not in
Smithfield, but
Smithfield.
Right.
It's a sliver, it's, the amount is roughly like $1,000, it'll come to Middle Smithfield and Smithfield.
Yeah, here it is. It's 1155 Red Fox Road. Is that right?
No.
That's,
No,
yeah,
that's
Oh, that's
that's,
the other. Sorry.
I have the color photos in the back. In your packet,
It just goes by Demon, I wouldn't,
yeah.
Okay.
yeah, it just says they're gonna pay $1,000,
Mhm.
we can haggle with Smithfield.
No, we get that.
Oh, we get it
Oh,
that way?
yeah.
This is, oh,
Wow,
okay,
so it's taken months.
that's fine.
$500.
I got plenty of-
So is there a motion to authorize the easement to be executed?
Motion,
Second,
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and that brings us to letter E, which is an amendment that we added on the fire tax and EMS tax.
no, that's a new business.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're correct, Michael. Sorry about that. That's not under the solicitor's report. It's letter D under new business. Thank you. So that brings us to the engineer's report. Mount Nebo Apartments LLC, Phase 1. So we have a letter from the engineer regarding the conditional use relief request. In your packets.
I'll make the motion that, we grant the request. Which is basically just for a buffer for property that they have found their own. So,
I'll second. And then, you know, in the discussion, it's
Yeah.
Mount Nebo 1 was built, and when it was built, there was an adjoining property that had a homeowner living in the home next door. So we asked for landscaping to be done as part of the conditional use. Since that time, Mount Nebo Apartments Anthony Mullen has bought that property and is going ahead with phase 2 of Mount Nebo Apartments where that house was. And no longer a need for the landscape planning. So the solicitor felt that rather than going back into the conditional approval, we could just get a letter from the property owner saying to forgive that one condition, and Anthony sent that to us, so that's the story.
Well done. Do you have anything to add, Michael?
yeah.
Okay, so there's been a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Okay, and there is no old business, and that brings us, at 7:20. You only had to sit through 20 minutes of that, Mr. Ebbee.
So did we.
So James Ebbee, Eagle Scout proposal.
Hello, my name is James Ebbee, and I'm here representing Troop 87 at Bushville Township. I'm currently ranked a Life Scout, and I'm working toward becoming an Eagle Scout. I wanted to pick a project that would give back to the community. So with your approval, I would like to build 2 freestanding flag retirement boxes and a bulletin board for Middle Smithfield Township. The 2 flag boxes will be placed in separate locations, one at the Middle Smithfield Township building and the other at the Middle Smithfield Township Library. The flag boxes will allow tattered or old flags to be retired in a proper manner. May I approach?
Certainly.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, James.
Thank you.
That's a very nice design.
The dimensions for the boxes are attached on the included photo. They will be 3 feet by 2 feet by 2 feet, allowing for the box to be large enough for larger flags to be placed in if needed. The design of the box will be shaped like a triangular prism and will resemble an American flag with 13 stripes alternating red and white along the 2 outward facing sides. The top will be painted navy blue with stars, and the back will also be painted navy blue. Thank you for your time and allowing me to speak.
Thank you very much for proposing this project. I think it's much needed. Mike and Mark, I'm sure you have some comment.
Agreed. We had a request just last week from, we're gonna take my
Right.
standard flags, so we'll have an answer now. Not that we didn't have an answer, but we'll have a closer answer.
And
Thank
on
you.
the back of the one photo is an example of the bulletin board.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so what's great about the flagged retirement boxes is that they're 24/7. So people no longer need to wait from 8 AM to 4 PM to be able to retire their flags Monday through Friday. So that's why, I mean, I think it's a great idea for it. And thank you very much. You did our homework for us by going to St. John's and taking a picture of this, of the board. So just by way of explanation, yes, sir. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you pointed.
No, I have a question about,
Oh, okay. Go
are
ahead.
you gonna be building these boxes off-site? Or are you gonna be building them at the township?
They will be built off-site at, my assistant scoutmaster's workshop.
Okay. Do you need anything from us?
Just the dimensions of the bulletin board.
Okay, what about transporting the boxes when you're done?
No, that will be handled by the scoutmaster and my mom.
Okay. Great.
Thank you, this is much needed. And then, did you want to talk a little bit about this? Yes, no? Okay, so just, thank you for, doing the legwork for us, taking a picture of this and providing it to the board.
Mhm.
So, Mike and Mark, the idea between the facilities person and the manager of the community and cultural center is that we have a perpetual board for, the persons of the year. So this way, you'd have a record of the year and then who the person of the year was and who the 2 finalists were and what their causes were that they did. What we couldn't work out in our mind exactly yet was the design of it, meaning how it lays out. So, James was kind enough to go take a picture of this board that was an Eagle Scout project by someone else that's over at St. John's. And here you can see they built the little picture holders for it. So you actually have a headshot of the different people on the different teams. So that may be something that we want to consider. And James is just looking to us for dimensions and the location. And perhaps tomorrow at workshop, the board can discuss whether they believe it should go in the lobby here at the Township building, or if it should go in the vestibule over at the Community and Cultural Center. So this way, library traffic and township traffic would see it. So
Sure.
do you have any other questions for us other than where this would go in the dimensions?
No, that's pretty much it.
That's about it for now.
Do you have
Thank you.
paperwork for us that we have to sign?
No.
Not yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Sure.
Well, thank you. Well done.
Thanks, James.
Okay. The next item under new business is to amend resolution 09-2023-1. That is the Keystone Communities grant that we have applied for. The DCED had wanted the amount that we applied for within the grant application. So is there a motion to amend resolution 09-2023-1 to include that statistic?
Motion.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in
All in
favor?
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mhm. Sure. And then that brings us to letter C. Before we get to D, you can mention.
Yeah, just to go back to letter A, James, just to confirm the board's intentions, I'm gonna make a motion that we accept your proposal.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Letter C, resolution 10-2023-1. Authorizing the placement of banners. Thank you, Michelle, for your work on this resolution and catching that. Is there a motion to adopt 10-2023-1?
I'll make the motion.
There a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion?
I believe that when this was originally crafted way back in the Mike Gold days, that we had to include the banner at Fernwood that we didn't control, we had to include it in this so they could actually do it. So they could actually hang a banner over there.
Mike's being nice, I deleted a little too much.
Yeah.
Okay, so it just needs to be added
Okay.
back.
Yeah, originally this resolution had 3 locations for the banner, including the one at Fernwood that we don't control, as
Right.
Mike just mentioned. And there's only 2 locations, the Fernwood location now and the one by Big Ridge Drive and 209. So that was the reason for the amendment.
Right, so what we're looking at should be revised, so, I mean, I guess, I don't know if we have to,
No,
Amend
then we don't need to take an action, we can just table it and have it amended.
Or even go subject to
So, yeah,
the solicitor's review.
is that your
well,
motion?
we'll just table it,
Table.
Okay, so your motion is to table?
yeah.
There
Second.
okay, comments or questions? We just had the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, and then that brings us to D, which is a fire tax and an EMS tax. As you know, this is budget season. So that is when the municipalities start putting together their budgets for the next year. And we just wanted to be transparent. Everybody should have received their township newsletter by now. And you'll see this time the word from your township supervisors, as well as the budget and finance page, is dedicated to how do we fund fire and EMS. And the township is vigorously pursuing a fire and EMS tax as a solution to that. In addition to the other things that you heard tonight, replacing the cable franchise fee, which we don't feel is fair, with a more fair local services tax that makes more sense. And this would just be something else. So Mike and Mark, would you like to state anything about that? Or say a few words about it?
No, I think you said, you know, we've been talking about this for quite some time, actually a number of years. You know, we've all known for quite some time that cable tax is, you know, not dependable as far as what revenue we get. You know, we've met with our fire and our EMS providers. We've gotten draft budgets for subsequent following years from them. We're still anticipating or hoping for the JLN study to come in.
As well as a few service,
Right,
fire
there's
and
few-
EMS
Few
providers.
service providers, that's correct, that have yet to provide. But I mean, it's a needed tax because, either way you slice it, there's not enough income for the township as it exists in 2023 between the cable tax, the LST, and real estate and income tax to cover all the expenses. And let's face it, all expenses are going substantially more than we've seen in prior years, so. It will be an additional tax next year, so the hope is, as we get through budget, that the real estate tax does not change next year, or at least upward. But, you know, we'll see how that shakes out over the next few weeks as we go through budget, so.
We just wanted to get the word out as soon as possible across as many different platforms as we have available to us. Thank you, Channel 13, for being here. Because when we present the budget to the public in December and give them 20 days to look at it and then adopt it, that shouldn't be the first time that folks are hearing that there's going to be an additional tax. So, any comments or questions? Okay. So that brings us to public comment. Is there any public comment from anybody?
Lady in the back.
Oh, yes. Debbie Kulik, how are you?
Thank you very much, because I think that you've heard what we've said collectively, all of the services. And I read the article in the newsletter and I said, this is the introduction, so thank you.
Is there any other public comment on anything? Anyone? No? Okay, your favorite motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Comments or questions? All in favor? Thank you very much again. No, I wrote it, so do you want to? Note.
Oh, no. Well, this way it's in a minute.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I know that.